Hey mamas. So today we are talking about getting out of overwhelm. You have to excuse my voice. I have a little bit of laryngitis. But in today's video, we're going to talk about what causes the overwhelm, how we got there, how to get out of it, and how to prevent it. So the first thing I want to talk about is a little overwhelm 101. So we come to understand overwhelm as it is just like about the amount of tasks that are on our plate, our to-do list, the amount of things we have to do is what causes overwhelm. But that's really not the case. And I know this is a little bit of a foreign concept, but overwhelm is never caused by what's going on in our life. It is always caused by our thinking. Yes. You know how you see some moms who have like 10 kids and who work full time and who have all these things, and you think, how is she not overwhelmed? Well, that's because it is her thinking. It is not based on what's going on in her life. It's based on her thinking. And I want to give you a little insight about the 4 different types of thinking that causes this overwhelm. So the first one is all or nothing thinking. This idea that it's black or white, that we have to do it like all the way or not at all. This totally leads to overwhelm because we think that if we sign up for something, if we are going to commit to something, that we have to do it all the way. Like we create these really crazy expectations of how we should do things, and we do it. And that leads to overwhelm because we are bogged down by that way of thinking. The other way of thinking is this should thinking. I should be working out. I should be playing with my kids. I should be doing this. A good way to ask ourselves if this is helpful or not is we ask ourselves, thinking this way, does this motivate me? Thinking that I should be doing something, do you feel this sense of motivation and excitement to get going, or do you feel this weight on you that brings you farther down? That's a good way to check in. The third one is perfectionist thinking. This one's really popular because we like to do things perfectly. We think if we can get it just right, that we are going to avoid feeling some negative emotion. Perfectionism is paralyzing. All this like weight and expectations we put on ourselves that it has to be perfect, that causes us to like tense up because we know that we have to like do it perfectly or we just are paralyzed. The fourth one is people pleasing, which is my all-time favorite because we create this thinking that we have this desire to please people around us. We create expectations for ourselves about how we should behave to please someone else. This is totally overwhelming because if you think back to our ancestors' times, we were a part of a tribe. It was crucial to our existence, to our survival, to have that connection with people. So through that and over time, we still have this belief that to be part of a tribe, we need to please other people. We need to stay connected. We need to give them what they want so they keep us in part of our tribe, which is really ridiculous now because we don't need people to survive anymore. We have ourselves and we can take care of ourselves. Okay, now that we have a little background about how we got there, the thinking that creates this place of overwhelm that we're just totally squashed under, I want to talk about some ways we can get out of it. So the first one is we want to switch this overwhelm energy to this doing energy. Because when you're in a place of overwhelm, it's hard to get moving, right? We are stuck here. We just start complaining about all the things we have to do. We call our girlfriends, we tell our husband. We are more and more overwhelmed. We think more and more things we need to do. We get to a point where, especially for me, I fall on my knees and I start crying. I'm like so weighed down. I don't know what to do. I don't even know where to start. I just totally crash. And if you're in this place, it takes just a little bit of energy to switch from this overwhelm mode to this doing energy. And the way that we do this is we start by one tiny little task. A lot of times, a thought I love to go to is I only have to do one thing at a time. If I genuinely look at my list, there might be 20 items on it. I think, okay, I only have to do one thing at a time. What am I going to start with? It's like we have to focus our brain on one specific task and stay on that track and we see it through so it's done. So, to do this, again, I said we have to make a decision. We pick one task and we focus on it. And the next thing is we have to remind our brain all the time. After we made a decision, we then have to utilize constraint and discipline. This is the hard part. This is the part I talk about all the time, like having our own back, following through on something, making sure that we're checking in with ourselves and we're doing what we intended on doing. So to do this, we are going to have to push aside all those questioning thoughts. So we pick something and then we think, oh, but I should be doing this. And maybe that's not the best way to do it. Maybe I should do it a different way. Maybe I should research this, right? All of this confusion is going to come up. All of this uncertainty is going to come up. That's when we constrain. We are disciplined, we follow through on our plan, and we see it through all the way. Another thing that I talk to my clients a lot about is this decision fatigue. That's when, if we don't constrain and discipline, that's when we find ourselves in this decision fatigue because we keep asking more and more questions. We feel like we have to make a decision on this and this and this, and we're already overwhelmed. And so anything extra beyond that, it's just debilitating. We can't move forward. So to be able to prevent this overwhelm, these are the things we want to do. We want to consistently show up and do the thought work and make decisions and move forward. I can tell you personally that an hour every week I set aside in my calendar. That is like when I'm in like decision-making mode, right? I sit down with my huge to-do list, all my priorities, the kids list, the meals, everything. I just like bring it all to the table and say, okay, we are in decision-making mode, right? I like turn it on. We are in problem-solving mode. What's crucial? When can I do what? And what can I just cross off, just totally delete? So this is when we get in our D's, right? We're delegating, we're deleting, we're deliberate. We are making these decisions from a place of clarity, right? Not overwhelm. I'll tell you what, if you sit around and try to make decisions when you're overwhelmed, you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to be spinning your wheels. You're going to be starting this project and starting that project and trying to get this kid to that. And you're not going to be progressing. You're not going to be moving forward. Overwhelm is an indulgent emotion. What that means is our brain, as silly as it sounds, it likes to indulge in it. It likes to turn it on and stay in overwhelm. It's comfortable for our brain. And I'll tell you why. Our lower brain wants to avoid any negative emotion. If your brain can keep you in overwhelm, it keeps you in a safe place. It keeps you in a place where you don't make decisions, you don't move forward, you don't come out of the cave and put yourself out there where you can get hurt. But that's not what you want. That's why you're miserable, is because you're letting your brain indulge in this emotion. So, mamas, I'm going to close it up with this. If you want to get out of overwhelm, you need to do the thought work, right? Overwhelm comes from our thinking. So we need to take a deeper look at your thinking and see what it's creating. We need to kind of explore that a little bit, and then we start pulling it apart. So guess what? You don't get overwhelmed anymore. You know it comes from your thinking. You look at your thinking. You need to be consistent in your decision making. You need to be consistent in your thought work. I would love to help you with this. I help a ton of mamas get out of this overwhelmed place so they can live a life that's intentional, that they're happy and they're excited about, that they're not wasting time feeling overwhelmed. They're using their time to do the things they want to do and create passion in their lives. I'm here for it. Sign up for a free relationship evaluation call with me. I would love to take a deeper look at that with you. Hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you next week. All right, bye-bye.